Alright, so today, and probably more days than just today, I'm going to be installing stainless steel brake lines on my E30. But this video is kind of starting after I've already attempted this. And when I was doing the rear lines, there's 2 lines in the back for each side and 1 in the front. So on the second line, which is way up above the subframe, I broke the hard line because the little fitting that spins on the hard line was fused to that hard line. It spun it and busted it. So I'm kind of going all out, and I'm dropping the whole subframe. I got all new brake lines from the firewall back, 95A polyurethane bushings for the whole car. I'm going balls to the wall. So right now I'm trying to drop the subframe. I got the front stainless steel's done, just to have the front done, throw the wheels back on and forget about it. And I'm gonna be trying to do this. Never done it before, but hopefully you guys enjoy the vid. Stay tuned. Alright, so this is what I'm looking at down here. You can see I have the sway bar end link disconnected. Hopefully I can just leave it connected up there. Take a look. I think I'm just going to leave it. If not, I'll just take out the sway bar. I'm planning on leaving the diff and the axles connected and just dropping the whole thing. To do that, I'll have to take off the diff mount with where the bushing is. But other than that, I think it's just bolted to the subframe. I've soaked everything in PB Blaster and WD-40 like probably 3 times now. So right now, because I have to take off the parking brake cable, I'm going to be disassembling the whole brake assembly here and getting at what's underneath this rotor. Alright guys, so I figured I'd show you how to rip off this caliper and rotor here. So I don't rock this set screw if you have one. Sometimes they strip out. I don't suggest reusing them, just leave it off. Put some studs on, they're cheap. Not much play here, it's nice and easy. But on the back of the caliper here, there's some bolts, they're 17mm. Rip those off. Don't mess with any of the other bolts. Don't take the caliper apart. And you won't, when you put it back together, you can just stick it on there and go, and it won't be a hassle, you know. So, mint. Alright, so I forgot to mention, it's kind of crucial in my situation to take off this brake line, and I ended up just cutting it because, well, this is kind of stripped. It's pretty, this one's pretty damn close to stripped. All the others are 11mm, and the 11mm felt like loose on it, so I don't know, I'm kind of pissed. But I'm still going to try and rock it because I didn't buy those brake lines. That's just a little short thing that goes down. I bought all the other brake lines, so I'm probably going to try and like tighten it with a really tight vice grips or something onto the stainless steel line. But yeah, so take this off and then take the 17mm off and boom, bang. Alright guys, so I got the rear caliper off here. You can see it's pretty dirty. I think this is the one. I can't really do it with my camera in my hand, but this one's really wobbly. The like dowel pins or whatever in there, there's some play in it. I can kind of hear it sometimes. I'm thinking about rebuilding it pretty soon, but one smart thing to do is to take your bolts and put them back where they came from, because then you won't lose them and have like a, even if you have like a bucket of bolts, if they're not all from the same place, I mean, if you come back in a week, you'll have no idea where they came from. So just put them back in their holes. Alright, so got the motor, or the rotor. It's not a motor, what the hell. And the caliper off. Kind of organize them by their side, even though they won't go on the other side. But you can see this is the parking brake assembly. There's a spring there, some springs, and underneath on the bottom. Maybe I'll go down. Yeah, you can't see that, but on the bottom there is where the cable comes in. There's a little pin that holds it in, and I'm just gonna kind of, you know, look at it and just kind of figure it out. All right, we got Dylan over here under the car, PB blastering that rear diff mount. Over here we got this, both sides we got the parking brake apart, and this is kind of how it goes. There's 2 shoes on each side, and on the top side we got this adjuster. And then we got these two springs here that go, one on the top, one on the bottom. And then there'll be these two little 5mm Allen keys that you just stick in and twist. So it's pretty easy. You just untwist these, take these springs off, and then both these shoes come off. What we're struggling with now is, see, right there's that parking brake line. It sees into the back of the like plate here, and in order to get the cable out so we can drop the subframe, we need to disconnect that like sleeve that he's pulling on right now. So we live in Minnesota. Everything's rusted, and sadly online people have been like cutting them and stuff. So I don't really want to do that, but we might have to. So stay tuned for the mintness. Alright, I took a break for a while, but I'm back. What we got done is, you can see up in the rafters, there's a new subframe ready. And right there is the exhaust. So the exhaust is taken off. All that's left to get the rear end out is disconnecting the drive shaft. And there's like some sensors, but that's about it. So I bought new parking brake cables, because those are rusted on there. I think it's a common issue. You can just like cut them and then like just cut them out. Just don't even waste your time. And yeah, so diff mount, a few other things. Just should come right out. All right, so I'm kind of cramped down here, but you can see that I've got one of the nuts off of this drive shaft here. They're 17mm. They're on there pretty tight, so I'm using two boxed end wrenches, and I kind of using the second one as like a longer lever arm to get a little bit more torque on these bad boys. They're coming. One of them is on there pretty good, so let's take her off. Alright, so it's been a little while, but we're back on the subframe project, and you can see these Allen-headed bolts here. They hold a retainment plate that kind of stops this bushing from coming down. I was trying to use this utensil here, which is a nice all-around, gets all your Allen heads in it. But when you're torquing on these, it's a lot of flex going on in here. So I went out and got this breaker bar with a shorter little Allen bit, and this should work a ton better. Let's make sure that's in there good. It's a lot of paint on it and stuff, so make sure it's in there. If this strips, you're screwed. Alright. It's going. These are in there pretty tight. Should say that in a fucking video. Oh God, Jesus. Gonna have a hernia. Alright, so how this plate works, this comes up and kind of holds that bushing in, I guess. And then these Allen-headed bolts have a plate on the outside here of this, like, what is this, a pinch rail, drip rail, whatever you call that. And on either side it sucks in like this, and then these bolts go through and thread into this. So once you get this out, in my situation, I think this is the last thing for getting the subframe out. Alright, so there's a little trick. I was on the forums, and so there's an aluminum sleeve in this bushing, and these are oftentimes stuck. They're like rusted to this. The subframe's rusted to the top, basically. So you're gonna take this 5/8 lag bolt and thread it into the softer aluminum, and really get it in there. Torque on this, and then that'll kind of be a stop in the bottom, and you come from the top with the bolt that was in there, which you've hit that bolt out now, so it's just, there's nothing there. You come from the top and you hit, and the bolt hits down onto this, and that'll move the whole subframe down, hypothetically. You just saw the lag bolt trick from the bottom, so that's going to be in that sleeve where this would normally go down into. I'm not going to put it in there because it'll fall in, because we got the subframe down a little. but that'll be in there and it'll be sticking up. You'll take a hammer from the other side of the car and come in and hit this thing as hard as you freaking can. Just swing at this and it'll get that rust ring and it'll pop down and subframe will be hanging down. So that trick worked. Both of the bushings are de-rusted, dropped down. Everything's disconnected, but what we're hung up on is there's a U-joint that goes into the input shaft of the diff, and the drive shaft comes up to it. And I just took all the nuts off, but there's studs in it, and I think it might be rusted like onto it. So lowering the whole assembly down brings that drive shaft with it, and it's just kind of messed up. So to figure that out. All right, so after we got these this unrusted from the car by whapping down from inside, then that part was loose, but we had the drive shaft came in here and we had the nuts off, but there was some studs and some rust that was kind of holding on. So when we pulled out, it pulled out in the middle in the center support bearing. I don't think that'll happen for everyone, but it did for us, so we're gonna put that back in. But after that, we had to smack the ABS sensors, which go into the like hub assembly there, because it's just everything's rusted on. So after that, it just literally just pulled right out. And this was a hard job. This was terrible. Don't do it unless you have to, or if you want to do dank race car mint. Schadenfreude.